Rock, Wisconsin. Yay! We made it to the Wounded Warrior card making benefit, and I am so happy. Can we do a little bit of a angle of the camera, Kelly, when you're done photoing? We have a crew here today. I bet 100 people, all in all, is who are going to be here in person with us today throughout the day, not all at once, because that would be a lot to put in this place. But you guys, look around here. We are live. So for those that are joining us from all over the country and the world, yay, there you guys go. There it is, yay. We got the place all set up. It has been a labor of love, you guys, to do this event. We were just talking about it last night, that it was about June 26th of last year, and I was having a team meeting. And in the team meeting, it was Gina who said to me, you should apply for the Statement of the Heart Award. And I said, really? I just applied for the 35 for 35, where Stampin' Up! Was picking 35 different events that they could visit and attend. And I had just applied for that, so I thought I shouldn't apply for both. And they said, no, you should apply for both. So on that Friday, like the day before it was due, I sat and I applied, and I spent about 45 minutes, and I was late for helping with something else. And I'm glad I did, because they selected me. It was it was an interview process. Doing card making benefits is something I've been doing now with the team for about 5 years. I don't know exactly. I didn't go back and count how many, but we started in what year? 2019 is when we started, Bonnie said. So that's 5 years. And we first started off doing one benefit a year in April for the MS Foundation. And then it turned into, well, they're going really well. Should we do another one? And the answer is always yes, right? So in the fall, we did our Underground Railroad 3 years ago. Or maybe 3 years ago. Last year was the veterans with the Wounded Warrior Project. And so when I applied for the Statement of the Heart, we chose that organization again. And so Stampin' Up! Was very, like, they were on board with who the cause was, who it was going for. I went through an interview process, and I had to keep it a secret, you guys, for about a month. And that was really hard, I would have to say. Because people would ask, did you get it? Did you get it? Did you get it? And I'm like, no, I don't think so. Like, I had to kind of like say little white lies. And all of a sudden it was announced at the onstage last year. And I had Kelly on standby. I had to tell her about a day before. I didn't.
You told me to come to video, but you did not tell me why.
Yes. I told her it was important that she was videotaping. And then I kind of cued her. I'm like, you should start now. And then she taped it, and the team's reaction. And you guys all rallied together. And this event gained so much momentum over the last year. It's crazy about how people can come together and support a cause. And I had originally set a goal. At first, it was $10,000 because we had never raised more than $5,500 for an event. I think that's what we did in the spring, or one of them was $4,500. So it wasn't like that much, but I'm like, we can do $10,000, right? If Stampin' Up! Is gonna spot 10,000, we can do 10. So that was the goal, was 20. And all of a sudden, just like picked up. We did 252 kits. And then the girls all heard me say, I think we need to do more. And the question is, how many more? And we did 100 more. And of those 100, after today, we have 2 gone. There's 33 left out of 352 cards, right? Okay. So, and every one of those was a $40 donation to the Wounded Warrior Project. So 100% is being donated. And that is because the community gave us the idea of donating product. They wanted to be involved, and they supplied the paper. So my team of Be Happy Stampers and my extended community of people who watch me on YouTube, they donated probably about $2,000 worth of materials to do this project. So all the paper, the embellishments, the ribbon, all that stuff was donated to allow us to do that. So that was super cool. So a lot of you guys are here, and a lot of people are probably watching as well. And so we appreciate that. I actually, we started working on the planning, strategizing already after the last one ended, the MS benefit in April. So we made plans of, okay, what do we want to use for product for designing? And we always use the holiday mini catalog product for this one because it had just launched. And so Stampin' Up!, I worked with Mary Lee, who is the office assistant. She hooked us up with product before you could even get it, so that I could go down to Florida in July. So if you guys remember, I went down to Florida, and I went, and Sherry Pyre, where is she? Oh, there she is. Sorry, like looking around. Sherry's here. So Sherry put me up at her house. I stayed with her for 3 nights, actually. was it Friday, Saturday, and Sunday because I got stuck in Tampa for an extra night because flights were delayed. And we stamped all weekend, you guys. And so Cheryl Taylor was there as well. And within that weekend, we designed all 6 of the cards. And we have been promoting it nonstop since. And so I appreciate that, Sherry. It's fun to design cards with other people, right? Not by yourself in a room by, with the cats. That's one thing. But when you're with people, that makes a difference. And so that's when the design all started. And I think within a month, the team was on standby for kitting and prepping. And how many of you guys die cut, embossed, scored paper, kitted? Yeah. Tammy Sokolic and her mom, Sandy, did, and Anna, is Anna out here? There's Anna. She snuck in here. Okay, yeah. So much, you guys. Where's Karen Wetstein? She is sitting behind it. Okay. Oh, behind. She's in there. So Karen cut all the DSP. You guys, it was, when Sarah and Marilee asked how many people helping, and I said 40, they're like, 40 people? Are you serious? I'm like, yeah, it takes an army.
And when I asked how many hours of help, the answer was,
I don't know.
It's too many.
It's too many, countless hours. So yeah, so we appreciate all of you coming to be here to celebrate this day with us. We have an inspiration board over here, the veterans who are being honored and recognized. Bonnie Lesperance is over here. She was the meat and potatoes, I guess I would say, of the raffle, which is another element of this event. All the baskets are veteran inspired, meaning what did they miss the most while they were serving? Or what is it that they love the most in their life, their hobbies, their joys, what brings them happiness? And so this was something that we started last year. It was her brother-in-law's idea. And people were confused a little bit about it last year because they thought the basket went to the veteran. And it wasn't that way. It was that somebody sponsored a veteran and that basket paid homage to him or her. And then it got won by somebody. And so it's awesome to see the faces and give that recognition. Sure. Oh yeah, so they'll be off of me for a little bit. Hopefully you guys can hear me. But I don't remember last year. We probably had about 18 to 25 baskets. 25. We have 34 baskets that were all donated as well by the community. And yeah. So, and then on top of it, Stampin' Up! Donated a bunch of material. All of a sudden, this box shows up, and I'm like, wow, they went shopping in the warehouse, and it was so much stuff that we tied up together. The extra baskets that are the $5 baskets, and then Annette Rollin made a quilt, and her friend Boda, where's Annette? Bev, sorry, I keep thinking BB. Bev Boda did the long arm on the quilt, and then I put a basket together. So we had some extra $5 baskets, and then Bonnie is also works on the King Run up in Wapaka. She's like, we should do a 50-50 raffle. And so how much is the 50-50 raffle up to? Almost $300. So one person will take half of that. And it's amazing. The people that have been getting, some of the people who've been getting those tickets have been telling me if I win, give it back, right? Which is super cool. So yeah, so the raffle is another big element. And Bonnie's like, shaking her head. So what Bonnie said is a lot of people have been asking, well, I have a veteran in my family. I have a veteran. Why aren't they here? Well, it comes down to we don't know that unless you fill out a form and you want them either sponsored or if you donate for it for next year. So we have forms that you guys can start. I've had a few people reach out to me saying, I want to donate a basket next year, which is awesome. So yeah, so I got another round of applause for the baskets, you guys. It is a lot of work to go around and get donations and coordinate all that. And then you guys saw the board. Gina put that together. So Gina, another element is the bake sale. So Gina's over here with Bonnie Ray, and this was a last moment thing, like about a week and a half ago. I think you sprung it on me. She's like, I want to do a bake sale. Bella wants to do a bake sale. I'm like, okay, as long as you do it and I don't have to do anything, I'm okay with it. And it was another thing to help get some extra donations. Stamp, right? Exactly. Got to have chocolate, and then having coffee. So yeah, so that is that. For like the part of it. Now there's a lot of the behind the scenes, you guys. For those of you who have never been here before, you probably don't know what this looked like before, like today. The laughing. So we added this on from the house wall, which is just over here, all the way over to here. It was about 1,700 square feet, got added on 4 years ago. And Tyler, my mom and my dad, we worked hard at that 4 years ago. And I have to say, it probably burned us all out from working on remodel projects. But when you find out that the CEO of Stampin' Up! Is coming to your house, it's time to button things up, okay? There's no pile of dirt that's going to be sitting there for 4 years or 3, whatever it was. You guys, we had black plastic down for the last 3 years, and then all of a sudden it was like a small project turned into a let's remodel the craft room project and displace the creativity and that. So that all changed, and countless hours have been spent also now working on the remodel, and that's a labor of love too. And I couldn't have done that. My dad's sitting there. Tyler's sitting there, and where's Mom? Is she in the house? Mom's working on lunch for the helpers right now. My dad spent so much time on the skid steer. He gets we were going to give the skid steer the MVP award, but it's the guy in the seat that gets that award. So my dad was here, and they were working till 10 o'clock at night trying to get all of that landscaping done over there. So that would be really nice for everybody, so that when you came up, everything looked good. So yes, I love you, dear. Yeah, they help girls' dreams come true. 4 years ago, or actually I say take it back 5 years ago, before this was even a thought, Tyler and I knew that I was outgrowing the house. We knew we needed some space. We could fit 14 people, okay, a little squishy in the living room. And I never thought in my head that I would be able to be standing here 4 years later, having all of you guys at my house for a giant, huge party, and having it hopefully organized and fun, smiling, laughter, and happiness throughout the day. Like, I never had jumped that. And it is now I know that there's so much possibility to do stuff like this. And I don't know, Dad said to me about a month ago, you should maybe go to the American Legion. You should maybe look at another place. I'm like, no. How many of you guys wanted to be here today? Yeah. Right? Okay. So I talked to a couple people about it, and everybody agreed that it needs to be here, and it's okay if we are overcrowded by a little bit. There's no place like the Hive. So I appreciate all of you coming out to my house today to spend the day with us, to recognize the veterans that work hard for us, and they fight for we have our shirts are special because home of the free because of the brave, right? They're out there on the front lines and giving us the joys that we can, which I hope is stamping, right, for a lot of us, that we don't have to think about it. So yeah. So that, I don't know, did I miss anything? I always like to ask that question. Yes, Dad has something. Oh, okay. After we're done, yeah, we can do that afterwards. Yes, okay, yeah, I got a flag. So yeah, so we'll do that. So I am here all day. I'm not going anywhere. I'm excited because Sara Douglas, the CEO of Stampin' Up, came in yesterday, and she will be here with us all day and into tomorrow. And then Mary Tallouzi from the Wounded Warrior Project is here as well. So you guys, you can raise your hands. They're going to be speaking here momentarily, but so in case you haven't met them or know who they are, I've got Sara and Mary, and they're here with us. So if you guys want to ask anything throughout the day, we're here. Just talk to us, chat with us. But I'm going to turn, I think I said enough. I think I'm good. But if I'm going to turn the time over to Sara, and she's going to come fill my spot right here. And oh, that's cute. That was cute. She's like, nobody told me. So we're going to switch. I'm going to take my microphone off.
Oh, okay.
And then you get
wherever you want to.
You want the name tag too.
No, we good?
Okay.
Are we good?
So you can see yourself where you are. So you guys, this is Sara Douglas. Yay! She's at my house. I was like, oh man. Yeah, it's a cool thing.
I feel really honored to be here, actually, and to be among all of you. One thing that I learned really quickly yesterday in just arriving was the community that's gathered together here. I see many of you in this amazing t-shirt that I've got on, and I know that there were many, many volunteers, and it takes a community. What's been the most impressive for me actually is just seeing everyone lift here or there, or decorate, or create cards, or do a bake sale. I think it snowballed because of the community, whether in person or online. And Christine talks about that. She talks about her community of women that are surrounding each other and lifting each other. So it doesn't surprise me the energy, I can't describe it to you, the energy in the space today, and the love and the hugs and the joy that comes from contributing and serving for a good cause. And so I want to just brag on Christine a little bit.
Aw.
Okay, so Christine. So we go through hundreds of applications for the Heart of Stampin' Up! Award. And Christine's hit home for us. It's emotional. It's an emotional read when we sit down to read those applications. And something about this project stood out. In her application, she said, we all know a veteran. We all know someone who's contributed to our country and the beautiful place that we live. And so that hit home for us. And we wanted to be able to amplify her project. Already, you've done that. Yep. Right? It's much bigger than you thought it would be. And we are happy to be a small part of that and to be able to contribute to the Wounded Warrior Project on behalf of all of you that are coming together and contributing and helping those that have served our country in many, many ways. So I just want to honor Christine. That's why I'm here. Thank you all for contributing, for being part of a community that cares, a community that lifts each other up. And I've heard from many of you today that you're here. You love the stamping and you love the card making, of course, but you had to come from different states even. You know, Florida and Pennsylvania and Denver and Iowa and Illinois and Indiana and Michigan. I mean, you have people here from all over, and they're here because of you.
Aww.
Thank you.
Thank you for being a part of it. Thank you, Sarah. That was awesome. All right. With you. And I don't know if we need Kleenexes though.
Oh darn, I forgot mine.
Oh yeah. We want to make sure we can hear you and your beautiful story.
So she flew in. Yes, thank you for being here, Mary. Yes, Mary Tallouzi flew in. Well, not officially from New Mexico because she was in Atlanta.
I was in Atlanta.
So step this way just a little bit because you can see where you are in the camera. Yeah, so you guys give a round of applause to Mary.
Thank you. You know, as a parent of two Army soldiers, we always pray for their safety and for their well-being. And I had my oldest son serve in Iraq from 2004 to 2005 and came home safely. And he was doing a crazy, dangerous job because people who are that young and are asked, do you want a special assignment? Heck yeah. And he took it. And I remember holding my breath for a whole year because I couldn't send anything to him and identify him as an American soldier. But when he came home, he was actually coming back and my younger son was going in, and they were hoping they would meet each other, you know, actually run into each other in the exchange. But, you know, that didn't happen. And they're like, well, okay. My youngest son deployed at the end of 2005 and returned in 2006. But what happened was that I didn't get the phone call about a son who had passed. I got a phone call about a son who had been severely injured. And the injury that Daniel, you know, survived actually at that point was a traumatic brain injury. And it was so extensive that well, let me give you the scenario. He was in his pod. They had worked all night, and his roommate sent me this information later. He said, we worked all night and we came back, you know, to our fob. And he says, and we got some breakfast, took our laundry in because they were at Camp Taji. And I remember my oldest son saying, Camp Taji, that's like the resort of Baghdad, dude. You're in a great place. You're aviation, you know. Well, that day, the insurgents decided to launch mortars and whatever into the aviation area where Dan worked and rested and everything else. They had just returned to their pod and were getting ready to bed down around noon. And Paul said there were 4 explosions. And he said the first one we thought, is it an industrial lid on a dumpster of some kind? Dan stepped outside, looked around, said, there's no commotion out here. And then the second time they heard it maybe they're self-detonating something. You know, they found some stuff that hadn't exploded. And then the third time, they were like, you know, not sure. Still no commotion outside. And Dan went to his locker, probably for his little earpods put in his ears and listened to some music. When the fourth explosion took place, shrapnel ripped through the building. And he was in a standing position by his locker, and a piece of shrapnel caught him behind the right ear, penetrated his skull, entered his brain, but it did not exit, it ricocheted. And I remember seeing for the first time, as they flew me to Landstuhl, Germany, the CT scans of just pools of darkness where there should be amazing brain matter, right? And just pools of darkness. And the prognosis was, we don't know that he'll wake up, Mrs. Tallouzi. We just don't know. And so arriving at Landstuhl was kind of crazy because people asked me, what did it look like? I have no idea. I have no idea. My mind was on just seeing my son, touching him, letting him know I was there. And that's exactly what I did. I made a beeline straight to him, but I remembered like stepping out of something. And as I stepped out, it must have been an elevator. But my peripheral vision caught him in a bed, and I went directly to him, walked straight in his room, put my hand on his arm and said, I'm here, it's Mom, and we're going to take you home. And I just remembered thinking like, okay, everything is positive from here on because we're taking this kid home no matter what. And as I look up, there's just like a sea of guys in uniforms and doctors and nurses and people that were attending Daniel. And I said, how soon can we get him to Bethesda? Well, everybody knows that Bethesda is for the Marine Corps, the Navy, and the President of the United States. But this mom said, how soon can we get him to Bethesda? And by the end of the week, he was the last person boarded on a gurney, on a bus, to an airplane, and the first person off at Bethesda, because they had the expertise on the East Coast for the traumatic brain injuries, which is something I didn't know at the time. So where those words came from, thank you, God, you know. So we started Bethesda, and I'll take you on a quick trip. Bethesda to Walter Reed, because Daniel was Army and Walter Reed's their hospital. I didn't quite understand that one because the doctors from Bethesda kept coming over to check on my son. And I'm like, whatever you want to do, you know. And then I felt like he wasn't safe anymore. There was too much bacteria coming into that area. And I said, you know that bacteria from the Middle East that these kids are getting, and it's supposed to be like really bad. Well, sure enough, Dan acquired that bacteria with all of the commotion that's going on in the surgical ICU. And so I make the decision, let's move him to the Richmond VA. And they said, Mrs. Tallouzi, he's in critical condition. We've never done an ICU to ICU transfer. I said, well, don't you think it's about time, because you're exposing my son with a wound to his head to every germ that comes into this area, and there's only green curtains to separate him. So where, you know, how does this happen? And sure enough, we went to Richmond, Virginia. They were so happy to see us there, and they were so happy to take care of Dan. And they said, you know, let's give Daniel a little bit of normalcy. Let's dress him. Let's see if we can get him in a sitting position. That poor kid had been in a lying position for 7 months. Let's see if we can get him in a sitting position. Let's see if we can put him in a wheelchair. And all of that happened. So, you know, I was just like very pleased with that. But the question came, where will you take Daniel? Will you put him in a facility? Do you plan on taking care of him at home? And all I could think of was, this is a 23-year-old soldier now, and I'm not going to put him in a nursing home. You know, like, what is wrong with you guys? I'm going to go home and check out our VA. Well, they had a place, but unfortunately, it was the geriatric ward. What was he going to do at 23 years old in a geriatric ward? I was like disappointed and got back on that plane and headed back to Richmond. And as I arrived, the nurses were excited. Is he going to Albuquerque? I'm like, not just no, hell no, he's not going there. We have to find a better place. On the plane back, a brother of mine, a retired Marine with 20-something years, and my son, who had returned the year before, sent me a link to a CNN article of a mom who had gone before Congress and fought for her son. Her name is Denise Meddy, and her son, Evan. They discharged him from the Army so fast put him in a VA system. And she went before Congress and said, no, this isn't happening to my son. He hasn't received the type of care that he needs and requires. And he should get state-of-the-art, medical help. I don't know what you people are thinking. And she won her case. And there was a video, and there was Denise, and there was her son, and Mary took that back to the doctor and said, this is where Dan needs to go. After conference calls and visits and just decision making, finally the last phone call, I was sitting in the office of the Operation Iraqi Freedom and Enduring Freedom representative. There on her desk was a bamboo plant. It was green, it was vibrant. You could tell she took such good care of it. And I just was listening to these people debating with me why Dan should or should not go to Kessler Rehab. And I said, gentlemen, can I just please interrupt for a second? Yes, Mrs. Tallouzi, what would you like to say? You should see this plant. And I described it just as I described it to you. Maybe she should just quit watering it. Guys, I don't know where that came from, but thank you again, because that got us the ticket to get out of Richmond and to Kessler Rehab in New Jersey, #2 in the nation for traumatic brain injuries, with a holistic approach. Not all about medications, but you have to keep some medications on board there for his safety. But the fact that they had physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech for a guy in a complete coma, an hour each a day. So for 3 hours he was busy. Lunchtime came around. They took him to the lunchroom. They let him hear noises of other people. They took him back to his room to rest. And the most important, they taught this mom how to work with him, how to sit on a blue ball and exercise with him facing a mirror. And one day he saw himself. He did not like what he saw. And I knew it. And this woman, she goes, don't you dare, Daniel Tallouzi. Do you know how far we've come? You should see what you have done. And the fact that you're so disappointed right now, and the therapist that was with me, her tears were just coming down her face. And I said, come on, we got to keep doing this, buddy. And as much as he saw himself in the mirror, then I saw him just kind of go back. I dropped the phone off the table next to his bed, and he turned his head in that direction. And I caught him in the room staring at the ceiling, and there was something amazing going on. His face that was so lax and so relaxed and did nothing. All of a sudden, he was moving his jaw. He was like feeling himself. And then I saw this. Oh, I thought, this is it. This is the great awakening moment, And then it was like, and I'm like, Daniel, and I immediately start talking to him, and I'm calling the nurses and come here. And the nurse came in, the doctor was gone, and I'm like, that's just like a doctor to be gone at this time. And the next day he came in, I said, you missed it. He goes, I heard. Where other people were only at Kessler for 12 weeks, Daniel and I stayed 5 months. And I remember thinking to myself how lucky we were and how blessed we were to be there, because they wanted to see. They took a completely comatose patient and they gave him a little wakefulness. How much further could he go? And then when they measured that, they said, okay, Mrs. Tallouzi, what is your plan now? Okay, so I want to take him home, and I need to have a house built for him. I was a single parent, you guys. I lived in apartments with my 3 children. They're all grown young people now. And I call my brother the Marine and say, you got to start building a house for me, because Dan has some benefits for renovations or building a new home. So let's do that. And he's like, got it. Got it. He went to work in Albuquerque, and Dan and I flew to yet another private facility, Health South in New Mexico. And I loved it, because I said, he needs young people that know that Daniel loves to run, and he played football. And he, as a soldier, he was the guy that was behind the other guys that couldn't run and saying, you got this, man, you got this, That's who Daniel was. And I said, we need to treat him like a 20-something-year-old, not like someone that's in a coma. And I immediately set the pace, and they had this simulator that for a walking machine, and they locked him into that. And I remember being so careful, like, please don't hurt my son. but they were young and they were just like Dan and they were excited about putting him in it. And darn if he didn't lock that machine. And the kid holding his face, the tears streaming down his face. And his mother was like, yeah, because you run and you walk and you know how to do these things, And so I just kept that up and kept that energy up, got him into his home in January of 2009. We had a few times that we had to run to the hospital. And February 28th of 2009, I had to run him back to the hospital and he didn't make it home. The medication he was taking for his motility had been reduced because when I got to the VA, they were battling me on the medications because they were state of the art, battling me on what they could and could not give him. And so I told him he was allergic to Keppra so that he could stay on the medication he needed. He wasn't allergic. They didn't need to know that, And, I had to barter the other medications, especially the one for his motility. And the ability to digest your food is so important, and that's what took him out. And I think to myself, it was a traumatic brain injury and how sensitive that is, and how I always felt like any second I could lose Dan. Well, after I lost him, I to be honest, I sat in the dark for about 7 months, not really sure what to do. A woman in Albuquerque had attended my son's funeral, and she kept the pamphlet from his funeral mass. And she calls me one day and says, I'm Terry, and I'm doing a fundraiser for an organization called Wounded Warrior Project. This girl reminds me of that Terry because her passion and her dedication to helping other people was just beyond. I never met a person like that. She was a decorator designer by trade, and her husband was a highway contractor. And between that, they pulled together and decided to do a fundraiser for Wounded Warrior Project. And she says, could you come talk to my 13 lead supporters and tell them why it's important for me to do this? And I'm like, I can't do that. And, I can't even talk about this right now. She goes, Mary, this is what we need to do in our community. And I thought, oh my God. So I went to one of her meetings. My brother, the Marine, was standing in the back like this. Like, what do you want? What do you want with my sister? And I honestly don't know if they understood a word I said because I was crying so hard. But they got the message. But I have to tell you, she gave me purpose. And that's what it is. When you bring someone into your little world of, doing what you do, and you give them purpose after they're lost, that is the greatest gift you can give anyone. That was the greatest gift I had ever received. And I just remember her saying, Mary Tallouzi and I, we're like sisters. We are connected at the hip. And I'm like, oh my God, Terry, you're so funny. But I learned so much from her. And I saw her do amazing things. And, she reconnected me with Wounded Warrior Project because I was a volunteer after that. The first year I was invited, and the next 2 years she couldn't get rid of me. I was right there. And so I answered the phone one day, and her organization was called Ooh La La, Proud Supporters of Wounded Warrior Project. And I answered the phone. Hi, this is Mary Tallouzi. Thank you for calling Ooh La La, Proud Supporters of Wounded Warrior Project. And the other voice on the phone said, are you Daniel's mom? Oh my gosh. I said, yes. Miss Tallouzi, we met you at Walter Reed when we gave you the backpack. And we talked to Dan and we thanked him for his service. And oh, I remember that now. And we told you would never be alone. And I'm like, and I wasn't, because you know what? While I was in those hard places of people trying to negotiate what I could and could not do, they were on the phone with me because I'd say, this is what's going on right now with Dan, and I don't know, this is what I'm thinking, and I just want to know if you think I'm on the right track or help me with this. And the guy from Wounded Warrior Project said, do you know who your representatives are? Do you know who the governor of New Mexico is? Can you give them a call and we'll follow that call up for you? Back then, they were thinking about legislation. Back then, they were thinking about making a difference in our lives. And I thought, okay. So that's what I would do. That's how we got to Kessler. That's how we managed to survive all those obstacles put in front of us at the very beginning of his injury. And I'll never forget that. And so today, Well, before I say about today, I'm sitting in my living room and I'm probably just sitting there like a little stump on a log, and I hear a voice, Mom, what about my friends? Oh, crap. Daniel? You know, oh my God, I didn't even think about that. And I was already involved with Terry, and I'm like, and she says to me, I'm going to take you to the headquarters so you can visit Wounded War Project in Florida. Okay. So we went to Florida and visited the headquarters, and I re-engaged. And in 2011, they said, would you like to be a national speaker for Wounded Warrior Project? And it started out as a part-time job, but it became a full-time job because myself and another mother, we said, we're not married to our sons. We're not their dependents. We don't get any kind of, income other than what we're earning as part-time speakers for Wounded Warrior Project. Would there be any way we could become full-time? Yeah, just like that. And we had insurance, medical insurance, like good insurance. I mean, today as I stand here, you're making sure I still have that. And I think to myself, oh my God, who does this? Who in this nation does this for these caregivers? And because I've been with them so long, I watch the caregivers get a respite and go somewhere for a 4-day weekend and try to be normal, because it's hard to be away from the people you love. Try to be normal, try to enjoy yourself, be challenged to go beyond your limitations. And my challenge was in my training, because they took me to this place called the North Carolina Whitewater Rapids. And I'm like, what? And I'm sorry. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm Mexican and I do not swim. I told everybody I knew, I do not swim. Please save me if I fall in the water. And the guy in front of me in the raft was in the Navy. Guess who fell out of that stupid raft? And I was like, oh my God. And his name was Kevin. He was the sole survivor at the Pentagon. His room was filled with his employees. He was smack dab in the center. He remembers crawling out through a little space of light and less smoke, and as he was burning. And he was trying to get the heck out of that building. And he was one of our speakers at that time. And he said, Mama T, help me. And I said, no, Kevin, not your arms. I've got to get your vest. They told us that. And he's like, and he gets closer to the raft, and I just reach over, and it was like picking a little butterfly out of the water. My adrenaline was running so fast, and I thought, oh my God. So that was my initiation with Wounded Warrior Project. But what a learning experience, because after obstacle courses, and by the way, did I say zip line? Yeah, we did that too, over water. And, and I was just like terrified. But at the end of the day, they said, what was the best thing you enjoyed? I said, recognizing the word camaraderie as I watched these young men and us interact with each other and look out for each other and have each other's back. Now I know what it means to have your six. And they smiled at me and said, way to go, Mama T, way to go. And that's my nickname, Mama T. And I love it. And everywhere I go and every time I engage with Wounded Warrior Project, I'm so pleasantly reminded why I'm there as I see their faces. And when I think about the caregivers, it started with a respite. Then they got a stipend because we all stopped working, fully functional people in our communities. We had to come to a complete halt to take care of someone. And, and the legislations that have taken place for us. And the Elizabeth Dole Foundation picking up on what we were doing for the caregivers and saying, as Elizabeth Dole, we'll do it for all generations. So that means Vietnam, everybody else. And I remember thinking to myself, how, see how this happens, how all this comes, it just blooms right in front of you. And I just am amazed because my friend Christine lives in my backyard, and her son is on his 18th year. And like Daniel, his traumatic brain injury does not allow him to move his body of his own accord. He has spasms, yes, but he cannot lift himself, feed himself, and he has learned how to do a lot. He does art, he does typing on the computer, with his eyesight, looking at the letters. Okay, because let me tell you, Wounded Warrior Project comes into the communities, especially communities that are far away from our offices. And they come into the communities and they say, what is it that you need? And for these guys and gals that are so severely injured, it can be anything from speech therapy to art therapy. It can be things that the government will not pay for. And they bring it to their home and it's free of charge. My friend Christine has a person that comes in for 2 hours in the morning, 2 in the evening to help her get her son out of bed and then put him to bed. And in between, she has a therapist that comes for 4 hours to give Christine the ability to go do some grocery shopping while he's at the house. She has to train each and every one of them. And believe me, COVID, just poor thing. She was just going through such a hassle. But they just keep right on trying to get somebody back in that home to help her. When I see an organization pay for things because the government says there is no accountability of measurement of improvement, right? We cannot support that anymore. Then Wounded Warrior Project steps in and says, what is it that you need? Let's bring it to your home. Let's find the resource in your community. And that's how it works. That's what you're doing today. You're bringing the resources into the homes of all these caregivers that need you so much. And you're having fun doing this. This woman makes your life fun. And, and I am just so honored to be here. And so somebody said thank you to me this morning. Why are you thanking me? My God, I'm here to thank you. I'm here to thank you for being who you are and for caring. And I know that most of you have someone who's military or know someone who's military. And that's the beauty of it. But we need to get the entire community together, especially people that have no one, because they need to know that their life is not free. Their freedom doesn't come because it just exists. It comes through the hard work and sacrifice of so many families. I want to thank you guys so much for being here. And I am not a crafty person, but I'm going to try this. I'm going to try this, Christine. And she promised she would help me when I needed help. So.
I said, yes, somebody's going to handhold Mary the entire time. So she is successful. Yeah.
Because I said, I'll be at the same table all morning. No, we're not. We're going to move you. We're going to like, Okay. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Yeah. Thank you, Mary.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Oh, yes.
Guys, I appreciate you coming here, Mary. I appreciate Sarah coming to be with us in person. It made it even more special. You guys are what also makes it very special that all of you came to be with us today for this wonderful event. I was telling everybody, it seemed like we were planning a wedding because there was so much work that goes into it. And the thing is that everybody just has to take a moment and think about why we're here and what we're trying to accomplish. And above all, enjoy each other's company and just the camaraderie and the friendships, and that we don't take that for granted. Just like Mary said, it's not free for us that we are able to be like this together. So yay, I don't have much more to say unless anybody thought of anything I forgot. So we are really close to so then the new goal, did I talk about the new goal is 30? I don't even remember what I talked about. The new goal, so the goal originally was 10 with Stampin' Up! Matching 10, and then the goal bumped up to 30. So going into today, we were at about 27,000. Okay, yeah. Say that again? Okay, so buy baked goods, yes. More coffee. Come get caffeine, the coffee. Raffles. So for those that are still watching and you're wanting raffle tickets, you have to call me. Don't text me or Facebook message me. Call me, physically call me, because I'm not really watching my phone. But if anybody remotely still wants to get raffle tickets, we can still get raffle tickets up until about 5 o'clock. And we talked about doing the raffle drawing around 5. But if people come in at 5 or 5:30 and they're like, I want tickets, we're going to keep selling tickets, right? Until the ticket sales are done. And then we'll do a live drawing. So for those watching, we'll be back sometime, we said between 5 and 6:30. I'm not going to set a time frame on it. We have 33 sets of kits left. And I have had people tell me If you have any left after the event, I'll take another one. So I've got those in case, like that, to help sell those last kits. But that's like, yeah, or donations.
Fundraiser on your Facebook.
Oh yeah, for the first time ever, I created a fundraiser through the Wounded Warrior Project. It's on my Facebook page too. People could donate to the, for those that are not local with us, you could donate to the Facebook fundraiser that we started. We also have a jar here with extra donations. The other thing too, Tracy gave me an envelope that they had a collection at work, right? It was at, where was it? It was at the street market. They had donations. So she handed me $50 and said, here's 50, right? So, and Bonnie, yes, so Bonnie wanted me to share this too. So we have this in person for people to grab these, take a soldier home and place it somewhere that will remind you to pray for our men and women serving our country. Remember our veterans fighting PSTD, TBI, and thoughts of suicide. And so we have these here, and then there's a basket of little babies. You want to grab one? There's little baby soldiers. And for those that are watching that aren't here with us in person, and you would like these one, guys, I will put one in your next package that you have going out in the month of October. You just have to send me a message to say, give me a little guy, give me a little veteran, and I will put this in your package to mail it to you. But for all of those that are here in person, we have them here at this table, and we also have some more at this table. But you should put this up so that you guys can be reminded that we pray for our soldiers. What else can we do? Does anybody else know what else we can do to get to our goal of 30? Karen, I can't hear you. Oh, yes, we'll do that. So after we end the video here, what we'll do is the group can go over to my flag on the corner, and we're going to do Pledge of Allegiance. We'll go in, we'll do that. So guys, instead of going straight back to the tables here, we'll go over there and we'll do that. So yeah, I appreciate all of you guys. I never expected this to be as awesome and amazing. I mean, I knew it was going to be awesome and amazing, but this is like to the next level. Like we really took it out of the ballpark and like a home run times 100. So, and I couldn't have done it with all of you, really. So it's not me, it's us, right? That's what it's about. So I want to thank you for doing this and being with me. So, all right. So I'm going to say sunshine, love, and big hugs to everybody. We'll catch you later today. Love you. Bye.